Hi again for engine run-up checklist. So imagine now that we are at holding point, right before lining up, ready for departure. We are supposed to check our engine run-up. Alright, so we start. Now imagine that the engine is working at around 1000 RPM. We apply the brakes right there. Alright, you see the brakes? This is the rudder and this is the brake. Alright, so we apply the brake strongly, then we make full throttle. Imagine that the engine is working right now and it will increase its strength because the RPM here will increase as I give more power with the throttle. I push it slowly until it gets full. So the engine is turning right now like crazy, and I watch RPM that it increases, and oil temperature and oil pressure right here stays on the green. As well as at the same time you can check suction and ampemeter. Alright, so then you pull the throttle back gradually as you see that the RPM is decreasing at that time, at the same time. So I hold the engine at idle position without zero power, idle position. It doesn't come more back. Okay, and I like to see that it's still working at idle position. After I saw that it works at idle position, I put it forward until that RPM becomes 1700. Alright, here 1700 or 1500, in between. Okay, it can be 1600. As it is 1600 and as the engine is working sufficiently in terms of power, I gradually lean the mixture from right here, and the moment I sense that the engine is stopping is the moment I pull it forward to make it full reach. Alright, the second thing I check is carb heat. Remember that the engine is at around 1500 or 1700 RPM. Carb heat I'm checking by making it on and checking the RPM. The RPM will decrease slightly. Then when I pull it forward, which means making it off, the RPM will increase slightly again. The next thing I do is to check the magneto. The key is here. It's working on both. So I turn the key to the left to check the right magneto. I see right here that RPM decreases. I turn it back on and I see that RPM increases. So as I am checking the right magneto, I turn it back on the left magneto. Okay, then I check here, RPM decreases, and when I put the key on both, the RPM increases back on. So that's what I need to see, what I want to see. After these checks, we will check right here the instruments. The instrument airspeed must be 0. This should be no flag. Alright. Altitude, the altitude of the airport. We are in Öcseni, Hungary right now, and Öcseni airport has 300 feet from the mean sea level. Okay, this should be no flag, which is turn indicator. Alright, so that you see. And this is our compass, which must be aligned with this. You see, I don't know whether you can see it because of the sunlight. Now you see it. South and in between 15. Alright, so we adjust it right there. Like this, alright. So it's between 15 and south. Okay, it's like 175 or something. Sorry, yeah, 75 or something. So after this, we open the landing lights on. Our beacon and navigation was on anyway before we start taxiing, you remember? Now they are off, but we make them on before we start taxiing. We make landing lights on before we line up at holding point. Okay, as well as flaps must be 10 right here. All right, I do the flaps 10 so that I get ready for departure. And after you put the flaps on 10, never forget that you should adjust your trim for takeoff right here, because it is important. It's one of the items in your checklist. So adjust it for takeoff right here. That's all for today. Have a nice flight.